So many of us have heard that if you want to buy a piece of real estate, that you need to have at least 20% down. Welcome back, it's Frankie Boyer. Well, what are the alternatives to putting 20% down on a home, or are there any alternatives? Joining us is real estate expert Paj Balabi. He is CEO of Balabi Real Estate, Realty in New York City, and for over 18 years he has had tremendous success in both residential and commercial sales. Very knowledgeable about the U.S. housing market and trends in real estate. So what's the 20% rule? Is it stead, hard, fast?
No, as the banks start to loosen up their money and start to do more lending, you will see that they will take 15%, and some occasions 10%, but 20% is right now seems to be the golden rule. You got to put at least 20% down. Isn't
the mess that we're in because of the jumbos, because we didn't put any money down, that now we are here we are?
That's for sure accurate. A lot of times people, I remember years ago, that were doing 0% down. Luckily in Manhattan and some of the bigger the condominiums and the co-ops throughout the country, they required a minimum of 10% down, which at least had the buyers have some equity into their property, which was
a little bit anyway.
Yeah.
But 20%, if you're working with a couple, a young couple or a single person, 20% of a $800,000 unit or a $1 million unit is still a lot of money to have to put down.
It is, in the overall terms it is, but again, you want to have some equity into the property, and 20% of $1 million is only $200,000, which is, if you're purchasing $1 million property, you should at least have $250,000, if not $300,000-$400,000 in your bank if you're going to.
That's what I was going to. That was exactly what I was going to ask you. So if you're going to buy a piece of property that is $1 million or close to $1 million, you should have that kind of a portfolio, correct?
Correct. You got to have a nice nest egg saved up.
And if you don't, then the best thing is rental.
Rental, if you're really steadfast on buying a property, again, purchasing is a very huge task, and for most Americans, it's like the goal to own property, which it should be your goal. I mean, ultimately, you want to own property because land is not being created every day. So if you own a piece of land or own a home, you've kind of made it. That's at least the mentality. In most countries, that's not the case.
So we've gone through some really tough economic times in the past 10 years or so, and real estate has dipped, and it's up and it's down, and it's some parts of the country, as we talked about last time you were on, are doing extremely well. Different markets across the country continue to grow and flourish. I just saw Vegas is still not anywhere near what it was. It's having a very hard time coming back, although they're starting to do some more construction. They're doing an awful lot of construction in Vegas, so that means that eventually it will come back again, don't you think?
Yes, Florida has regained a lot of momentum.
Oh, Florida's gained a tremendous amount of momentum, yeah.
California as well, parts of Boston as well. Chicago is, I heard, is doing pretty well. So, the housing market throughout the country has risen. I think in general about 4% was what I read last quarter, which is not bad,
Not bad.
And it's been quarter over quarter we've had increases. There are some parts of the country that are doing not as good, and there are some parts that are doing well. But I think you're going to see a rise in real estate, and some of those weaker markets are going to gain momentum. Especially if we can do something with the banks and giving out mortgages more easily. They're really holding on to their money pretty tight still.
I was going to say, it's still not a free-for-all. And I also have to share with you that the foreclosure issue is still not resolved. There are still so many. The paperwork with the foreclosure got so messy that a lot of people are winning cases against some of the banks because of the way they handle the transferring of mortgages.
Frankie, it's so crazy. The papers are gone, missing in action. They don't know who actually holds the mortgage to these properties. In New York, you're looking at people haven't paid their mortgages in 3-4 years,
I know.
and they're still living there. Same Florida, I heard, is 6 years, and there are some other places around the country where they're in such limbo. It's unbelievable. So
what happens to these people? Is it at this point because they are possession is the law that if they're living there, then that's the deal? They wind up owning their properties again or keeping them?
No, I think eventually it'll come back and they're going to have to leave. There are people that are fighting it and beating it and restructuring their loans. I think if you're in the position where you can start making payments and you work something out with the banks, it's probably your best way to do it.
Yes.
There are others that they'll take advantage, live in their home for as long as they can. Again, some people are up to 6 years, which is pretty crazy, and they haven't paid a penny. And I hope those people are saving their money, because once they do get foreclosed on and they need to go and move into a rental home, with a foreclosure on your record, you're going to need to put down extra security, sometimes up to 4, 5, or 6 months in security payment, security of the month, in order to be able to rent an apartment. So for those people that are in this situation, they really got to save, because when they're going to find themselves not even being able to rent.
If they win the case, does that mean they are free and clear without paying a mortgage?
No, I think no. They're going to still owe the mortgage. It's just they're going to restructure the mortgage and start payments from whatever they agree to.
There are people, though, that are so upset about the way in which they were treated during this foreclosure period that they continue to fight, and there are advocates around the country that are fighting for them. It's so interesting what we've created with these jumbo loans and with this whole crisis. So real quickly, do you think that we have an opportunity to be put back in this situation?
I think for the most part we've learned. I think the banks have learned. They got to really look at their bottom line and who's applying and what they have, and it's not just made up and fictional.
Yeah, it's fascinating talking real estate with you, Paj. Can you give everybody your website, please?
It's Pej Barlavi. My website is www.barlavirealty.com. That's BARLAVIREALTY.com.
Thank you so much for being with us. And we will be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. This is Frankie Boyer.